3, hit it!
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to today's Caffeine for the Soul. And if you enjoy the things I talk about each week in these podcasts, please do check out my basic course in living from the inside out at michaelneill.org/basic course. And today's theme is fear without consequences. And what I mean by that is very often we hear variations on the biblical warning that which they feared has come upon them. And modern manifestors would say, yeah, no, whatever you focus on is what happens. So if you focus on what you fear is more likely to show up. And there's so much written and said about the negative power of fear that fear is kind of scary. Right? The idea of fear is like, wow, this can ruin, not only does this feel bad, if I get scared, that can ruin my life. So we start to fear, and we try not to fear, and we try to be brave, which is just acting in the face of fear, or we feel the fear and do it anyways. And the thing we fear most are consequences. What's gonna happen? But we don't actually fear consequences, we just think we do. We fear the way we think we're going to feel if something we don't want to happen happens. So we assume that every experience comes with a predictable feeling. So if I get the job, I'm going to feel great. If I don't get the job, I'm going to feel terrible. If I win the game, I'm going to feel amazing. If I lose the game, I'm going to feel sad. If I get my way, I'm going to feel good. If I don't get my way, I'm going to feel awful. And so we don't really fear losing. We fear feeling bad about ourselves and feeling bad in ourselves when we lose. We don't really fear things not working out. We fear how we think we're going to feel if they don't work out. We don't fear running out of money. We fear how terrible we're going to feel and how scared we're going to feel if we run out of money. But the truth about fear is that it works like every other human emotion. We are living in the feeling of thinking, not the feeling of the world, not the feeling of circumstances, which is why two people can go through the exact same circumstance and have a completely different experience. People can go to the exact same movie and have completely different experiences. Because we experience thought in the moment. And we don't know what we're going to be thinking in the moment. But we act as though the emotional consequences of something are written in stone. I've lost track of the number of stories I've been told about people who don't understand why they didn't feel as bad as they should when something happened, or why they didn't feel as good as they thought they should when something good happened. And whatever reasons they make up for it, which are usually to do with I'm broken in some way and there's something wrong with me, the truth is they're feeling what they happen to be thinking in that moment. And when you start to really see that, you realize that there's not a lot of point in fearing the way you're going to feel when you don't even know how you're going to feel if something you think you don't want to have happen happens. Now, I'll take it a step further. When we think fear is a warning from the universe, we very reasonably assume, okay, I better listen to this because it's telling me about what the consequences are going to be of doing it. And so I need to really take this into account and sometimes push through it, but sometimes listen to it. But fear itself as an emotion, and I will distinguish that from awareness of danger, which is in the body. Awareness of danger is built into the system. It's a sort of a sixth sense that all animals have, not just human animals. All animals have an awareness of danger. But what we talk about as fear is not that. What we talk about fear is scary thinking. It's thinking about things we don't want to have happen in a way that makes them seem like they're going to be truly awful. And so what fear is actually telling us about is not the world, not the consequences of what we're about to do or thinking about doing. It's telling us about the way we're using the gift of thought. And in any moment, we're using the gift of thought, the power of imagination, to feed ourselves or to hurt ourselves. We're using it as a tool to create, or inadvertently, innocently using it as a weapon against ourselves. And you can tell which way you're using it by the way it feels. When you're feeling good and when you're thinking about something in a way that uplifts you, then you're using the gift of thought in a helpful, useful way. When you're thinking about something, you're thinking about how awful it's going to be and you're feeling terrible, that's just letting you know the way you're using thought right now feels bad. Well, what does that mean? Well, it's like a game of warmer, colder. When it feels bad, that's saying colder. It's not a great way to use your imagination. When it feels good, that's saying warmer. This is a healthy way to use your imagination. And so even the feeling of fear doesn't have consequences. It's just a signal in the same way that pain is a signal to the physical body. Like when we touch something hot, we get a little bit of pain, a little bit of discomfort, so that our body will pull away so that we don't create lasting damage. Well, in the same way, fear is a signal from the mind. It's a psychological signal letting you know, hey, I'm going to make you a little bit uncomfortable now so that you don't keep using your imagination this way to the point where you're going to tie yourself up in knots and do yourself some lasting damage. And so fear is actually this wonderful tool that's built into the system, like a thermostat has a thermometer in it. And so if the thermometer wasn't able to record both low temperatures and high temperatures, it would only work to turn on the heating or the cooling, not both. But when the thermometer's working properly and it's allowed to record low temperatures, well, then the heating can come on. And it's allowed to record high temperatures, then the cooling can come on. And so if we try to get rid of fear signals and other uncomfortable, unpleasant emotions, that would be like having a thermometer that only worked in one direction. It would look pretty on the wall, but it would lose all its usefulness. And when we try to control our feelings and manage our feelings and manipulate our feelings and trick ourselves into feeling certain ways, then the value of our feelings as a feedback mechanism for how we're using our mind disappears. Essentially, if you can control a feedback mechanism, it stops working as a feedback mechanism. So, fear without consequences is recognizing all fear is telling you is the way you're using your mind right now, the way you're using the gift of thought, the way you're using your imagination hurts. And you should probably stop. And then when you do, new thoughts will come along. And invariably, maybe not the first thought that comes along, maybe not the second thought, but invariably better thinking, more helpful thinking will automatically start to come to mind. And when you follow that, when you follow the warmer, colder in the direction of where you want to go, you naturally fall into healthier and healthier uses of the mind. Have fun, learn heaps, happy exploring, and I'll talk with you soon.